Hey everyone, I'm the Cinema Chick.
And I'm Joey.
And once again, we are doing our lovely weekly podcast about Doctor Who and everything else cool and happening at the cinema.
And unfortunately, there's not really all that much cool and happening. I mean, there's movies. We were talking before the show about there's some scientifically inaccurate films going on right now, but neither of us have seen them.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have noted. I know I'm kind of the science nerd, but I just...
You are a scientist, aren't you?
Well, no, I went to school for it, but I chose to not have that stress. I was like, let's see, science or paid more to do tech support and go home at the end of the day? Huh.
Basically, it's the same thing of, Gravity came out, it's doing well, and the Tom Hanks Captain Phillips movie is not doing as well as hoped, but it's doing fairly well, and nothing new. And then, of course, Thor 2 is coming out, and everyone's all, oh my god, Thor 2 and Loki, and...
Oh my god, I can't...
And I'm just kind of just over here like, hey, I still wanted those answers. That's all. I don't care.
Yeah.
But some places, depends on your area, are having marathons, which to me is kind of stupid, but
they're
hey.
Doing that, they're doing that Times Square. They're doing a marathon at there's a movie theater on Times Square where they're doing, they said Thor all day. And I'm like, how do you do Thor all day?
We're having a marathon too, but it's basically like Thor starts at 3, and then the Avenger starts at 5, and then
I think that's
Thor 2 starts at, and it's all in, XD 3D, so of course I'm going. Me and my friend Fry and I go see movies all the time. She's my movie buddy.
In addition to movies that are in theaters right now, there's some stuff coming up that, there's not that much to talk about really that's changed, but there is a new trailer that just before the show, our favorite cinema chick forced me to watch.
But it was worth it.
It was worth it. And those spiders will give me nightmares worse than Planet of Spiders.
And no, we are not talking about arachnophobia. We are talking... Let's not go into that. The Hobbit Part 2. And no, it is not called The Hobbit 2. It is called The Desolation of, depending on where you live, Smog or Smaug.
The Desolation of Smog. The other Hobbit.
But basically now they're going into, it's not Baytown, is it? Or the town by the lake?
I don't know.
They're going to a town.
It's bad, but I haven't read them. I read The Hobbit a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to reread it, but it's kind of hard to get through, honestly.
It's an okay book. I don't have it on my shelf.
Yeah, I had to buy a new copy because my last one is I don't know where.
Yeah, my copy's in Texas, and I'll get it in 2 months.
But
I'm totally
awesome.
in Texas, I'm right next to the Cinema Chick as we record this. Totally.
Yes, of course. Totally, yeah. He's sitting right next to me.
Please ignore the giant hole in the fourth wall.
But yeah, and there's the giant spiders. They're going to bring in the necromancer, which I am dying to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that one.
And of course, the big thing is they finally show us what the dragon looks like.
Yeah.
I personally, that's not exactly how I pictured it, but I'm okay with it.
I didn't get a very good glimpse because I was watching on. I just clicked the first YouTube link I found, which wasn't the highest def, but it looked pretty good. And then the voice. You were telling me too. The voice. Yes. Wait for the voice. It was worth it.
And again, if you don't know this, you've been living under a rock, obviously. Benedict Cumberbatch of Sherlock fame, Star Trek, and everything else he's doing. He's got like 10 films this year.
Yeah, he does.
He's the necromancer. He does that through motion capture, and apparently he did Smog through motion capture. I don't know how. That's his claim, but
I think that would be hilarious to watch, though, if they show it like
he does
walking on all fours along the ground.
But it's basically he's voicing Smog, and the thing is, like reading the book and going through all that with Smog, that's kind of what I pictured the voice. Or imagine, not pictured, because anyway. Yeah. But it's Benedict Cumberbatch, but there's something serpentine about it, so it's perfect.
Oh yeah. No, honestly, I mean, I like Benedict Cumberbatch. I've watched quite a bit of his stuff, but I was able to completely take myself out of the fact that that's Benedict Cumberbatch. It's kind of like the Joker in the Batman animated. I mean, I know that that's Luke Skywalker. You know, I know that's Mark Hamill, but I can kind of take myself out of that, and it's a totally different character. And I feel like Smaug is going to be the same way. The voice is different enough, and then obviously the personality is much different. That I'm able to just sort of step back from that, because this isn't a very detached character. Smaug is going to be kind of egotistical and very emotional, and usually he doesn't play very emotional characters. I mean, they rage, but they don't.
Yeah, it's mostly like he doesn't really have anything other than like rage and indifference.
Yeah,
I hate to say.
This is going to be an opportunity to see
Which
a few
is
more.
kind of hilarious because if you watch him in interviews, he's like really sweet and nice, and he's got all these emotions, and he's like the super good guy. Yeah. And then you watch his movies, and he's like the biggest jerk out there.
Well, yeah, he's kind of like Tim Curry that way. He gets
roped into a lot of
Tim
Curry.
That, I mean, they don't really reflect his personality as well as they probably should. Although I think Tim Curry has to be as cheesy in real life as he is in the movies.
I freaking love Tim Curry. I have loved him since Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, me too. Recently, I got the board game Martinique. I won't take too long on this. I got the board game Martinique, which is a game where basically you play as pirates who are trying to dig up buried treasure on an island. And so Tom and I are sitting there, we're like, we need some piratey music. Do you have the soundtrack for Pirates of the Caribbean? And I had a few of the songs, not all of them, because, iTunes. I just got the ones I wanted. So we were playing those, we're like, this isn't enough. So I went on YouTube and I started playing music. And we're listening, and we're like, this is an awesome song. That voice is really familiar. Who is that? And so we look on YouTube, or we look on the credit section. Tim Curry, Muppet Treasure Island. Like, oh, that's the best pirate song ever.
I love Muppet Treasure Island. I actually watched that.
Songs.
I watched that a couple months ago.
I need to watch it. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite children's movies.
Yeah, I was up in Tennessee and we were just exhausted because we had done a lot that day. Or no, that was the day we went up to Kentucky and came back in a day. And it was like a 4 or 2.5 hour drive each way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, you know what? We'd gotten some food and we were tired. And she had her, I don't want to say PlayStation. I don't even know if that's true, but she had something.
One of those gaming-majigs.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And, she hooked it up and she's like, oh, I've got, Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. And I was like, no. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, oh, well, we watched that last night. Princess Bride, well, we watched that yesterday, too. Muppet Treasure Island, you know what? Yeah, let's watch Muppet Treasure Island. Why the hell not? And it's just awesome. As awesome as I remember it.
It is. I love Muppet Treasure Island.
So, from the tangent.
From that tangent.
There's another movie coming out in November that I'm personally really interested to see, and apparently, the pre-sale tickets for this are going super fast. The Hunger Games Catching Fire. It is not the Hunger Games 2, people, just like The Hobbit. It's not The Hobbit 2. It's from the Hunger Games trilogy, where it's, the Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. And minor spoilers here. If you've seen the trailers, there's a lot of violence, there's rebellion, and President Snow saying, well, we need to kill Katniss, and blah, blah, blah. I know what happens. I know how it ends. So I can't really tell anyone because I've read the book. But the only spoiler I will give away is it's the quarter quell, which means every 25 years, people who have survived the Hunger Games have to go back in.
That sounds stupid.
There's only 3 survivors from District 12, one of them being Haymitch. You can see where I'm going with this. But in the quarter quell, the arena is different. It's not just what they had in the first game with the cornucopia and I want to see how that's done, because in the book, when they figure it out, I was so impressed, and I want to see how that carries out from page to screen. Which again, I want to say, but spoilers.
I have not seen the movie, nor have I read the book, and right now I am living what it must be like when people listen to me talk who aren't nerds. I'm like, the cornic... What? Akbar, help me out here, you know? I don't understand.
Literal. It's literally a cornucopia, but it's like giant and metal.
That's weird.
If you've seen the book or seen the movie,
I know.
Oh my god!
This is a guy who reads Star Wars novels saying that's weird. I know.
Like, yeah, it makes sense once you've seen the movie.
That's ridiculous. I'm gonna go back to watching two gods fight on Earth while a giant green guy throws aliens around.
Well, that's a good movie too.
Yeah. All right. And that's
it. As I'm not going to go to opening day because again, it is selling out super fast. But I do want to see it because of how the arena is. Plus, which I really don't care about Team PETA, Team Gale. Gale does absolutely nothing, people. When Katniss volunteers for the Hunger Games, Gale could have volunteered in PETA's place and gone with Katniss, but no, he just kind of stood there. He got friend-zoned like 100 times over. She says, I trust...
friend-zone.
She's like, I trust you to take care of my sister while I'm gone, and he's like, okay. And the only other time you see him, he's sitting in a field listening to, like, the radio reports.
Wow, you made that sound so emo, too. Okay.
It's basically what happens.
I'll do it for you, Bella. I'll do it for you.
It's basically Twilight. Only, the Bella character is actually badass and hardcore.
Yeah, that's about the only reason to go is because it's one of the few movies that's out lately that will actually look like they know what they're doing with a bow. As an archer, that really is frustrating when I look at stuff, because I'll look at like cosplayers and stuff, I'm like, that's a really good way to cut off your own finger the way you're holding that. Which is really the most... Like, it's really distracting when people are supposed to be really badass and they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, have you heard, this is kind of funny and kind of off topic, you can cut this out if you want. Have you heard of the Hawkeye Initiative?
I have not.
Oh my god, it's... Okay, there's this thing that points out, women have some pretty ridiculous poses in the comic books and in posters and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
there's a thing going around of men dressing up like Hawkeye and doing the same poses as the females, and it's pretty hilarious.
I need to see this. Okay. Remind me about that after the podcast. I'm definitely going to go see that. I assume that this is something we should suggest our listeners check out.
Yes, because it's pretty funny because you see how ridiculous it looks.
Oh, I've tried to do a few of those poses, and I think I threw out my back. Like, some of those girls, there have been a few times, Batgirl in particular, Batgirl and Supergirl in particular, I tend to see, have poses where it looks like their spines are jelly. Yeah.
There's one that I've seen Pinterest, which is a good source of my information.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Spider-Man like leaving Mary Jane's apartment, and she's got this most ridiculous pose. Like, she's kind of like kneeling on her couch. One leg is like up to her chest.
I've seen that.
And she's like holding a coffee cup, and then there's pictures of people doing the same pose, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I always sit casually like this. Nobody sits casually like that. I have
seen that one. That one looks painful.
Yes, it does. My feet would fall asleep.
My feet are already asleep. What are you talking about? That is not... I would love to keep talking about this because I just love goofy crap on the internet. Who doesn't? But we tormented ourselves with another just insane amount of Doctor Who this week. I mean, we're Whovians, big Whovians, but...
We did a lot of Doctor Who this week.
We just beat ourselves over the head with Doctor Who this week. We watched, we were planning on watching 3 episodes, and then right after the podcast, Janice goes, isn't the 3 Doctors coming up? Like, oh crap, I gotta watch that too. So we watched, we watched Spearhead from Space.
Mm-hmm. The 3 Doctors.
The 3 Doctors, Doctor Who and the Silurians. And,
oh yes, the Silurians. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about it.
I don't know how.
It's not very memorable. And we watched The Planet of Spiders. As an arachnophobe, Planet of Spiders, and then the Hobbit trailer. This is not being a good week for me.
At least in Planet of the Spiders, you could see the strings they were using to pull the spiders up.
Yeah, or the blue. I think it wasn't green screen back then. I think it was strictly.
It's green screen.
I think back then they used blue, so we'll call it blue screen. I don't know why they changed that. Do you know? Never mind.
Green. Apparently, green does not show up on camera. It's like I've had it explained to me. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. Yeah, that we'll have to dig into that some other time because right now.
Real quick before we jump into Double-oh-pertwee, at the mention of Troughton, big news from the BBC. Huge news. They have recovered. Was it the Web of Fear?
They recovered the Web of Fear. I know. I don't remember.
From Troughton era.
There's another one that they recovered the full thing.
It's all on iTunes. It's $9.99 per season. I know. I've checked this. I've looked into it. But yeah, things we thought that were gone, and didn't they find it like Ghana or something?
It was like Nigeria, I think.
Yeah, it was like, why would it be there? And
it was like it was an old BBC routing station where they would send the films to be rebroadcast to British expats, I guess. To like a division of BBC in that country. They turned up some in Africa about a decade ago too. But yeah, it's crazy. 2 classic episodes.
The Web of Fear, and I want to say is it The Enemy of the World? Is the other one?
I cannot remember. I know it was like 9 total pieces. Enemy of the World, yeah.
Told you. And this is why you should believe me.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I kind of want to go back and especially the Web of Fear. The Web of Fear is supposed to be amazing. Like everybody goes. If I had to recover one, it would be Web of Fear. I was just listening to a couple podcasts from other people's podcasts that are a couple years old, and everybody they interviewed. I was listening to some interviews with BBC personnel who are working on Doctor Who. And they're like, yeah, if there was one I could bring back, it'd be Web of Fear. That was my favorite episode. And boom, here it is. Full thing. Front
exactly.
to back. That is amazing. And then they were so good at getting it on fast, getting it up on iTunes fast, which the BBC's not been great.
They'll probably get it up on Netflix soon, I imagine.
I'm hoping. I mean, they want their money. I mean, it was a pain in the butt to get out there and get that stuff. But
true.
Yeah.
Troughton has more episodes now.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Nicholas Courtney is in Web of Fear. Actually, I don't think he's there as the Brig, but he's in Web of Fear. Anyways, on with our show.
Yes, Double-oh-pertwee, everyone.
Double-oh-pertwee.
Yes, Double-oh-pertwee. Because he's got the weapons, the gadgets, the kung fu skills, apparently, and
the
companions.
But yeah, he's got some girls.
Oh god, the cars. We'll get into that momentarily.
Yeah, he's got some girls, but they're not quite Bond girls. I mean, so far the cutest companion has been Zoe. I thought she's really cute.
Yeah, he's got 3 that we saw.
Yep. He was definitely the player. I mean, he's bopping around Earth, and yet he never really leaves.
He can't.
Time. Near the end, he starts to, but for the most part, he doesn't really leave the modern time, and yet he keeps picking up Bond girls.
Yep.
We were just discussing this before the show that he went through 2 companions that are kind of interchangeable. They feel interchangeable in their appearance. Liz Shaw and Joe.
They do look alike.
They do look alike. They're not personality-wise. They're very different. Joe is very. She's kind of the new agey and hippie girl. I watched.
Liz is very.
Yeah, Liz is very business. She's
very straight-laced.
Yeah, Liz is actually part of UNIT. She's military. I guess Joe is part of UNIT too, but she's like the hippie. I remember watching. I watched this one, and another time I watched Doctor Who and the Daleks or something like that. Because they were very creative with names. Which is one where he brings Liz to a planet that the Daleks are on. and she's just like, she's really flower powering it up on that one. But the worst, I think, was in the Green Death or something like that. It's one. It's on Netflix, streaming on Netflix. So if anybody has Netflix, it's worth watching. It's fun, good practical effects. But it's basically the premise. The reason that they go there is like that Joe really wants to help out in a hippie protest, and so the Brigadier's like, "Oh, well, sure thing. Hop in. I'll just drive you down there, you crazy hippie."
I love the Brigadier. Like, his solution to everything, shoot it. There's a mysterious blob here. Shoot
it. Yeah, he really is. And whenever he gets the opportunity to, you can just see it in his eye, like, this is it. This is my moment. It's my time to shine. Briggsy will win the day. And
oh God, Briggsy.
But I actually really like him. He's a great character. He's very straight-laced military, but at the same time, he's very human. Like, a lot of times, one of the big failings of a lot of science fiction especially is that the military guys tend to not be very human. They tend to be, stuck up a-holes. You can see that in the original Stargate movie. You can see that in in Independence Day a lot. Most of the military's really stuck up bastards. I mean, it's like a sci-fi trope. The military, they're stuck up and they don't believe in this hootenanny, and I'm not participating in this. And
did you really just use the word hootenanny?
Hootenanny? Yeah, I did.
Oh God. Moving on.
I missed the sale.
Please don't say hootenanny again. Anyways, the military.
The military, they're portrayed differently. The unit actually knows their shit, and even though the Brigadier tends to be a little disbelieving about certain things, a lot of times he at least buys into it eventually. I mean, he's still slow to it, but he's not downright condescending about it. He's like, "What? There can't be more than one doctor? Don't be ridiculous." "Oh, well, there's more than one doctor. I guess you were right." He's not... He's not an a-hole about it. He's not throwing people in the brig or whatever, which is, tends to happen. Like, there's aliens coming. Off to the prisons with you. Brigadier never does that, and I appreciate that. And we missed his introduction in Troughton's time, but we saw his second episode, which was Spearhead from Space. I thought we could go into that one a little bit.
Let's.
Because I teased during our last episode that there was, in addition to being the first color episode and a new doctor, it introduced a major villain, very timely, very, very appropriate to the time period in which the show was being set, and very important into modern Who, the Autons. And I mean, at the time, terrifying monster, but by modern standards, kind of goofy, but brought back again, and so much more important even than the Daleks, in my opinion, because a companion of the Doctor's has been an Auton. You don't see him traveling with any of his other enemies except the Silurians.
Oh yeah, well, no, he didn't really travel with the Raxacor Felipatorian.
No, he just sort of kidnapped him, as he's wont to do.
Yeah, he just kind of, that was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But again, if you can say that, good for you.
Yeah, Raxacoricofallapatorian is a hard word to say. It took me a couple of days to practice to get that one.
Ironically, the first time, I said it to you a couple days ago, that was my first time ever saying it out loud, and I got it right.
Yeah, I'm always reminded of that scene where Rose is trying to teach Mickey how to say it. Like, that's how it felt when I was trying to...
Oh, God, don't get me started on Rose and Mickey.
Raxacoricofallapatorian, I did it, yes! But, Spearhead from Space, thoughts?
It was pretty good for the time. I imagine it was quite terrifying, but for me it was just kind of like, I tried not to laugh.
Yeah, those masks especially.
My main problem came in the final episode, and that's the one where I can't believe that one.
Oh, okay. For our listeners, what was the worst part for you? Like, what
It's
was...
I understood the Autons. It's basically like cloning. Only the clone is kind of like a mannequin.
Mhm.
That's not the best explanation, but
Watch the episode.
the final episode is he finds where the Autons are being made,
Right.
and he goes to basically destroy the machine that's making them. And as
Standard
he's
plot for Doctor Who:
yeah,
find the enemy and destroy their machine.
so as he's trying to stop this machine, these huge green tentacles come out and try to kill him.
Well, that was his Japanese factory.
And I'm just like, wait, where did the tentacles come from?
That actually didn't bother me because they're autons. They're living plastic, and
But their tentacles are the tentacles plastic too?
I think so. Yeah, I think that
Okay.
that's like, think about the new Who Rose, the episode Rose, which brought back Doctor Who.
The mannequins, yes. No, those were the Nestine.
That's the autons are the Nestine.
Whatever.
They haven't just their species hasn't been named yet. But the autons are like a division of the Nestine, or like a faction of the Nestine, or something like that.
I just remember they called it the Nestine consciousness, so.
Yeah, they're the same creature. They just haven't been like. It's kind of like the Slitheen and Raxacoricophalopatorian aren't the same thing.
True.
Same here. The Nestine is a race, and then the Autons is like that group, the ones that mimic store dummies.
It's a racial group. I'm sorry, that was horrible.
It's oh my god, what if that's like a racial slur?
Oh god. If it is, I apologize.
My god. The Doctor's running around shouting the A word all the time.
No.
That bastard.
Spearhead, yeah, it was good. It's like I said, it's just when it got to the weird tentacles coming out of the machine, I was like, I just lost any believability I possibly could have had. But I liked it because it was kind of creepy. Of how can you tell if it's a real person or an Auton? Because it was that good.
Yeah, and I like that, which makes you kind of look into the future when the Nestine consciousness Autons are terrorizing more modern, 2005 London, and Mickey looked horrible.
He looks waxy and shiny, and that's how you know he's not him.
Pizza.
And he sounded like a broken record too.
He did, like, seriously, the general that they took over in Spearhead sounded, I mean, like, everybody friggin' believed that he was the general. In fact, to the point where I wasn't sure if the troops following him were real troops or if they were more Auton mimics, because, I mean, if they could do one that good, how many could they do? But then Mickey's just like this, like, Rose is the most
Again,
thought that
each their own. I know a lot of people love Rose and that she's the favorite. We don't care for her. My favorite, it's between Donna and Amy and Martha. And of course Jack. But for me, Rose she was just kind of this girl who got thrown into it and she just kind of stumbled along, and as soon as Tin came into the picture, she was just a love-struck girl.
Yeah.
Like when she came back after being separated, yes, she was awesome. But even then it was, she did it because she loved the Doctor. And I just got tired of the whole, she's doing it because she loves him.
Yeah, it made me, that whole mess kind of made me happy when he finally hooked up with Donna, and they were bopping around because they were just friends.
And Donna her and Jack Harkness are like the sassy ones.
Yeah, I want them to be companions for a while. That'd be fun.
My dream season would be 9. Christopher Eccleston, Catherine Tate, and John Barrowman together.
Oh, Eccleston will never be back, though, unfortunately.
I know. That's why it's a dream.
Yeah.
Could you imagine 9 and Donna going head to head?
I want to see. You know what? We could spend forever on New Who. So let's get back to
Classic Who.
Classic Who. We talked about Spearhead. Let's talk about the one neither of us remembers much about.
The Silurians. I remember it now.
Doctor Who and the Silurians. The episode with the most original name of all in the series.
This one made me laugh more than it should have.
It was pretty funny. I mean, they had a lot of silly stuff going on, but I think the worst was the editing in that episode was just awful. Where
Mm-hmm.
it felt like basically the set was kind of like three major areas. There
Just
was
slightly redecorated.
the sphincter
The
reactor,
cave.
the cave, the sphincter reactor, and the war room.
Oh my god. We'll explain the sphincter reactor in a moment.
Yes, but the editing was terrible in that it really felt like if you went to one side out the door of the war room, you were immediately in the Silurians' base in the cave.
Yes!
And
And
if
then
you went to the other side, you were immediately lost in another part of the caves. But the door didn't lead into caves; it led into a hallway. It's just such terrible editing because you never saw any transition between them leaving through the door in the war room and them suddenly being in a new outfit out in the caves. And for a 7-episode serial,
yeah.
that's ridiculous. You had time.
Oh, you want to talk ridiculous? What about the freaking Velociraptor?
Yeah, what the hell was that?
Okay, I know it's one of the Silurians, but it looks like a Velociraptor.
No, it's actually supposed to be a raptor, I think. I think
Oh,
they
well,
said it's
there's a
something that
raptor.
That's a pet. Like, it's their pet guard raptor.
Good raptor.
That's a good boy.
But basically, yes, they have a
fetch
raptor.
The ball. Fetch the ball. He fetched the ball. Clever girl. Yeah.
But yes, there's a raptor, and apparently the Silurians, I did not know this, believe it or not, they do not come from space. They apparently came from, like, the center of the Earth, roughly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not really from the center of the Earth.
Not the center,
They're
I just...
down there now.
Yeah.
But originally they were surface dwellers.
Apparently they were just, like, hibernating?
Yeah, it gets kind of fleshed out in other episodes because there's quite a few Silurian episodes to come in Classic Who, which we won't have a chance to touch on. Probably, maybe some other time when after our Who-a-thon is over, we will revisit Classic Who every once in a while and discuss an episode or two. But the gist of the Silurians is that back during dinosaur-y times, the Silurians lived and frolicked on the surface of the world.
Now I have a picture of a Silurian, like, prancing through a field. Thank you.
Well, is it Lady Vastra?
No, it's one of the Silurians from, back in the day.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Glowing pink eye.
Go on.
La la la.
Shut up. Go along.
They lived on the surface in dinosaur-y times, and they had a pretty good civilization built up, which, for one reason or another, we don't see any of the buildings of. I guess they were
probably ruined.
Yeah, but I guess they were biodegradable because the ruins are gone, just gone.
I imagine they didn't have, like, the best technology. Well, no, they probably did, because, look at their laboratory.
As a matter of fact, they are space-aged.
I think maybe it just got destroyed because people built over it and moved and shifting of the plates.
It might be underwater by now.
Yeah.
But a lot of what they built went underground when they discover that there's an imminent catastrophe for the planet, and they
being the meteorite.
They predict that the planet will be completely gone. And originally, in this episode, they say, "Oh well, we detected a planet that was coming in and it was going to collide with Earth and destroy it, so we went underneath." And later on, when science kind of advances and the theory that the moon was a captured planetoid is gone and replaced with the moon being rubble from another impact, which could still be a planetoid. They adjusted it to being that they fled at the same time as the extinction of the dinosaurs. Like some of the Silurians most of the Silurians went underground to sleep until the Earth had revitalized itself following the destruction of the dinosaurs. And then some of them went into...
Apparently that came in the 1970s.
And then some of them went into space. Well, in the 1970s is when they're starting to wake up.
Yes.
Like some of they leave caretakers who are like a small contingent of Silurians in each of their underground cities that wakes up periodically to check on things and make sure everything's going along. And they're not very happy at all these stupid monkeys who are dancing around on their planet who invited them. So, and that really is the crux of the episode. Like they're never really villainous villains.
No, it's basically like a very mild turf war.
Yeah, and really, Silurians are kind of like
they're not violent.
No, for the most part. There's a few violent ones. Give them credit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're very justified. Like, who are these upstart bastards? We were here 65 million years ago. What the hell? Take one nap.
I know.
And
then humans take over the world.
Friggin' tailless monkeys. But, I mean, and you get... You kind of learn a bit about this in the New Who. There's a Silurian episode, which is very fun. Not my favorite, but it's fun. It's a Matt Smith episode. And then there's also Lady Vastra, who discusses that she's from dinosaur times. Every once in a while she mentions that. And nobody knows exactly how the hell she decided. Or because she was with Jenny.
There's the famous line from the Snowman of, "I'm a dinosaur woman from the dawn of time, and this is my wife." I love that one.
I know, I love it. I love everything with those characters. Them and Strax.
Oh, Strax, he cracks me up.
And that,
I'm the clever one, you're the potato one.
I love those characters, but again, we can go on like this forever. Back on point, the Silurians, Doctor Who and the Silurians, I should say, is a good episode. It's not a great episode. It's a good setup for the Silurians. It has some genuine dread. Like they spread a plague.
Yes, they do.
Awesome.
And
it was so cool.
They have biochemical warfare.
Yeah, and first of all, very timely because at that time chemical weapons were a real threat.
Wasn't it about Cold War era?
Yeah, that was Cold War era, and chemical weapons were in development and even in use in some places. I mean. Not to put too fine a point on Agent Orange, but people were putting chemical weapons into use in war, and so it was very powerful. Especially they didn't skimp. Like some Doctor Who episodes, it's like there's 5 people in the whole friggin' episode.
No, this was like all of England was catching this. And I believe they said it had spread to France at one point. Yeah,
some guy comes running in, "Sir, we have a reported case from Paris." And it's like, and the Brigadier, like, he practically falls over because he's already consigned himself to sacrificing his entire people, the entirety of the British Isles, to prevent this plague from spreading and to find out that it's already gotten across the pond. He's already willing to give up the entirety of the British Empire to protect the planet, and now to know that it's to no avail, and there's nothing they can do. And as an audience member, I was sitting there going, "Holy shit! What the hell are they going to do?" And of course, the Doctor comes through at the last minute. Actually, Liz Shaw helps come through at the last minute.
Actually, that was again my main problem. Came at the ending is I found the end of the arc quite depressing and very sad.
It really was. A lot of
because the military solution was, let's blow up the cave, or not blow up the cave, but put dynamite here and we'll seal the cave so the Silurians can't get out, and that's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
And the Doctor I don't want to say he just leaves it, but he's like, "There's nothing I can do. They've already done it." And I was like, I actually felt bad for the Silurians because they were majority peaceful. One of them was actually trying to help them.
Yeah, and the one violent Silurian kills him, and that's kind of what starts the whole thing. I don't want to stay on the Silurians much longer because we do have 2 more episodes to talk about.
Oh yes, the 3 Doctors!
But I did want to mention one last thing before we hop away, because this is something that you don't see very much in modern Who. Matt Smith's done it more than others, but you really don't see it. The Doctor is investigating something. I don't remember what, maybe a dead body, I don't know. But he's chilling out in somebody's house investigating something. And a Silurian walks up. This is the first time the audience has ever seen a Silurian. So, kids at home, 1960s, 70s, whatever this was filmed, sitting at home going, "Oh my God, Doctor, look out behind you, look out behind you." And Doctor turns around. He hears like a creak of the floorboards or something. He turns around. There's this big, hulking, orangish monster, with fins and gills and talons and a weird glowing pink thing in the middle of its head, and He turns around, he says, hello.
Yes.
Doesn't even faze him. He's just like, oh, shit, another kind of Earthling, of course. He knows exactly what it is. He knows it's a Silurian because he knows Earth. So he's like, oh, hey, you're a Silurian, right? You need help? That was so cool. I didn't skip a beat. He's just like, oh, hey, what's up?
I know, he's just like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? And the Silurian's all cool with it. He was like, hey, I've been chilling under the surface of the Earth. What's up with you?
Yeah, well, the Silurian couldn't talk to him yet, but he was like, he was obviously trying to communicate with the Doctor. And it was very refreshing from the Monster of the Week when the Monster of the Week isn't really monstrous. Mm-hmm. Kind of like that. And with the new Matt Smiths, they've been trying to do that, especially with the Clara episodes. They've really tried to do that more, and I like that. I appreciate it. I still want occasional it just wants to eat people kind of monster, but yeah, every once in a while it's nice to have a Monster of the Week who's not a threat at all. So I've talked at length enough, I think, about
3 Doctors.
Yeah, time for the 3 Doctors. So exciting!
I love the 3 Doctors. It was so much fun.
It really was, and short.
It was fun, but also at the same time, and at the same time, it was a little sad. But I'll explain that
bittersweet
later. Yes.
The 3 Doctors. For those who haven't seen it, you should watch it. As
it's
always, we're going to keep saying this. Just at this point, when we say we're going to watch something, watch it. Just do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously. The 3 Doctors is a great episode. It was their 10-year anniversary, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to treat their fans to something that they couldn't see because there's no VHS tapes. There wasn't even Betamax back then. Not in your home.
Yeah.
So what do? How do you see the Doctor when there's no replays and there's no VHS tapes to rent from the store? You bring them back.
Yes.
And that's exactly what they did. The Time Lords had some crazy shit going down, and they go, oh, crap.
Yeah, there was apparently a black hole that was, I want to say, leaking antimatter?
Something like that. The science was just total crap.
Yeah, just ignore don't try to make sense of the science. And the antimatter had gotten to Earth, and it was taking things, but it was looking specifically for the Doctor. But apparently it was draining energy from Gallifrey, and the Gallifreyan said, there's only one thing we can do. And they said, well, you know the rules. It's what is it, like, illegal to cross...
the first rule of time travel or something like that.
Yes, to cross your lines, which, again, they can exist simultaneously, I think. They just can't, like, cross paths.
Well, basically what seems to happen is that generally you can't, if you cross time streams, it causes a paradox and a lot of problems. But
yes.
The Time Lords have the technology to sort of bypass that, but they've sworn not to use it because of the potential destructiveness of that. Which is why, in New Who, you see a lot of times where you're like, why can't the Doctor just go save these people? And the answer is because he's heard them die.
It's a fixed point in time.
It becomes fixed. Yeah, it's part of his personal timeline. He can't change it. And if he does change it, it's going to screw stuff up because he doesn't... I mean, he has the Time Lord technology, but he's still sworn not to use it. He's not... going back to Hartnell, he's sworn not to meddle.
Yes.
He will not be a time meddler. So, he kind of is, but he tries
I'm sorry,
not to.
I just had a Harry Potter quote come to mind. Awful things happen to wizards who meddle with time.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. I like that. We should have remembered that for the time meddler. Crap. Darn, and I don't have my TARDIS right now. It's in the shop.
Oh, told you to get that thing fixed.
I know.
And now your chameleon circuit is broken again.
It looks like a banana. But it's a big banana. I mean, I can just unpeel it and climb in. But
well, yeah. Because that's not conspicuous at all.
You'd be surprised. I live near New York City.
Well, okay, yeah, since here in the Dallas area, it would be very weird, but...
In New York City, they're like, oh, there's no hookers involved in this. So, the Three Doctors is based on the fact that the Time Lords, they didn't have enough energy to do anything of their own, but they did have enough energy to stop the paradox machine or whatever it is that prevents crossing. And so they send they send the second Doctor.
They send Troughton in
to help out, and they gather up the third Doctor, but for some reason he's like hanging out in some sort of awesome diamond chair that I need in my office.
Oh, the first Doctor, yeah. Oh, that's why it's bittersweet.
Yeah. And then there's the reason is he was actually supposed to be on set, but because of health issues,
he was very old. I want to say he had Alzheimer's, even though they don't ever explicitly say it.
It's not explicitly say it was Alzheimer's, but he did have an issue where he couldn't remember his lines.
And if you watch it, you will notice he will say his lines, and he will turn and look off camera, and then finish his lines. So you know he's got cue cards. And he's basically there as an extended cameo. He's just there for his little speeches.
But he really wanted to do it. Like they spoke to him several times, and although his memory was failing, he did each time that they asked him. He did want to participate.
He wanted to do more.
Always remember saying that he did.
Yeah. He wanted to do more, but health-wise, he could not.
And I've heard this. I don't know how true it is, but supposedly they actually brought the equipment, like the chair and everything in the backdrop, were brought to him. That's why he wasn't in his own TARDIS. They brought stuff to his house because he was, he had.
And they do explain issues. in the show he's like apparently in like a time bubble or something.
Yeah, he's
and
like
that's why he can't come.
Communication system, some way. Yeah,
and that's why he can't come.
Yeah, they don't have the power to send him through, which is a great write-in solution.
Yes.
Like he's like, well, I can do the mental stuff. I can do the telepathic communication stuff, but I can't be physically there because it's taking too much energy from Gallifrey. And so they go, 1 and 2, through various shenanigans involving killer pomegranate fruit. And
a lot of bickering.
A lot of bickering, which is fun. It's kind of fun to watch the Doctors do.
Yes, it's hilarious. Oh, and seizure warnings galore as a heads up.
Oh yeah. One thing I really liked, I don't remember the exact phrase, but at one point, Troughton turns to Pertwee, who's a younger actor, and goes, "Age before beauty." And I don't think it was exactly that phrase. I think it was like "old people first" or something like that. But It's like awesome.
Well, it's like the paradox. Matt Smith is the youngest person to play the Doctor, and he's currently the oldest Doctor.
Yeah.
And then, like, the oldest-looking Doctor, or the youngest Doctor, was played by the oldest actor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think that's changed now, because I think now Peter Capaldi's the oldest.
Yes, he will be. He will be considered the oldest actor to play the part. Even though he's starting younger than Hartnell ended on. Hartnell started younger than Capaldi's starting, so. Anyways, they go, and they go to like this alternate world, like a world of antimatter.
Which is basically like New Mexico on a good day.
Yeah, basically. Well, that's a good description of New Mexico. Yeah, it really is. We were making jokes that they're running through these deserty quarry.
A quarry.
Areas. Yeah, it's a quarry, but the backdrop's meant to make it look like a desert, so they're running along through this apparent desert. We're making jokes that they're running past the impossible astronaut and stuff. It really does seem like they're in U.S. deserts, and they go into this place where they meet a big-headed man.
And no, it is not Dark Helmet from Spaceballs.
Kind of looks it.
He kind of looks like it, though.
Yeah, he's got a really huge helmet, and they know who he is because he's in Time Lord legend. He's the man who started, or who gave them the ability to travel in time. Omega, not Omega, Omega. I wanted to pronounce it properly.
He kind of reminds me of Dark Helmet the way he talks, though.
Yeah, and he kind of throws temper tantrums like Dark Helmet.
Oh my goodness, the temper tantrum.
Yeah, he really does throw a couple of temper tantrums, and he's easily fooled. He's not, for a god among Time Lords, he's not very good at his job.
Well, he's been alone for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I was joking, like, well, they didn't just he's just really lucky that after all this time they didn't just catch him like crapping out in the corridors or something.
I
Because,
know.
I mean, you can go pretty crazy with that long of a wait.
But
But through various shenanigans, they're able to defeat Omega, who's not really a villain. Again, he just wants to go home.
he just wants company.
Yeah.
That's basically it, is he wants company.
Yeah, he got trapped, freeing the Time Lords to travel throughout space and time for all of eternity. I think he started up the first Eye of Harmony or something like that. But in the process, all Time Lords believed he was destroyed in this horrible destructive blast, when in reality he was thrown to the antimatter universe, where he's the only being alive. And he's had to use his thoughts to control the world and create more. And then it's a very good episode. I don't want to spoil too much because it's a very
It's worth seeing. There's a lot of good humor.
There is, and it's a lot of fun. And the Brigadier's in it, and that's
Oh god, the Brigadier.
Joe. That's the one with Joe in her blue, fuzzy.
Oh, the Cookie Monster.
The Cookie Monster.
It looks like she skinned Cookie Monster and like bleached it a little.
It was the 70s.
I know.
Yeah, it's really good. And then we finished it off. Actually,
Planet of the Spiders.
Technically, we finished earlier today because we went past midnight.
Oh yeah.
Watching Planet of the Spiders. I hope that's our last really long one for a while because.
Oh god, no! We're about to enter Tom Baker.
That's true.
We're not done with long arcs.
So, Planet of Spiders. I'll cry later.
It was a good one. I liked it.
It was really good, and you know, it kind of made the thing with the bug on Donna's back at the end of Donna's.
It made sense.
It was such a cool little, like, I hadn't thought of this before, but the bug on Donna's back is a great callback to this episode, where the spiders ride on the backs of people that they control,
and apparently makes it possible for them to shoot lightning from their fingertips.
What was the name of that planet?
I don't. Oh.
Metabilis 3.
Yes.
Yes, I remember now. Now, if you're a big fan of Pertwee, you already know this. But for those people who aren't, or who are just getting kind of new to Pertwee, throughout his tenure as the Third Doctor, he's constantly talking about how he wants to go to Metabilis 3. Like he wants more than anything just to go on vacation to Metabilis 3 because it's somewhere different than Earth. And that's his go-to place. He really, really wants to go there. And eventually there's an episode where he gets the opportunity to go. I think that's the Green Death.
I believe so.
But I can't remember for sure. But yeah, basically he's like, no, screw that noise. When they have a problem in one episode, he's like, no, screw that noise. I'm off to Metabilis 3. Y'all can take care of yourselves. And off he goes. And when he comes back, you know, he goes through some sort of shenanigans off camera for the most part.
The word shenanigans and jaunty will happen a lot during the Pertwee era.
Yeah, they will.
Because one, he looks like a magician the whole time.
Doctoro the Magnificent has spoken.
Two, the music is like very. You'll understand why the word jaunty comes up.
Yeah. Oh, and well, we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's finish off the episodes, and then we'll do kind of a retrospective on him as a whole.
Yes.
So, where was I? Right. He went to Metabilis 3 in a previous episode. He finally got to go there, and he picked up a blue crystal, which had semi-psychic powers, kind of like the psychic paper. Like, it's not really psychic, but it does cool stuff.
Yeah.
And he brought it back, and he gives it to Jo as a going-away present when she leaves later on in the series. And she takes it when she goes on a world traveling. And that's when he hooks up with Sarah Jane Smith, who everybody knows. And so come up to the final episode of the Pertwee era, and they get a package. And it's the crystal. And Jo says that she's having some problems with people down in Africa aren't happy. They're seeing some bad juju coming off that crystal, and they're right. There's a taint to it, and so she needs to send it back just so that she can placate the people that she's with. So they use the crystal to do some psychic stuff, which alerts the spiders, who are all apparently aliens from Metabulus 3 as well.
They're very big spiders.
They're very big spiders. Yeah, they are my nightmare given form.
Once again, just remember they are obviously plastic, and you can see the strings moving them.
You underestimate my fear of spiders.
Are you like the Ron Weasley of this right now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, when Ron's like, I don't like spiders, I'm like, Ron, I am with you. I haven't liked you much up to this point, but you are my man. So, they do the whole spider deal. Going to the planet and fighting with the spiders and running around. Somehow the spiders are giving people the ability to do Emperor Palpatine lightning hands.
Yeah, which apparently it also ranges. No, or I want to say it ranges from like stun gun to death ray.
Yeah, they said. That's the batons, but I think their hands do it too. Where they're like, they can like, it's like set hand to stun or set hand to kill. Except it doesn't work on the
most people.
Yeah, well, especially on the mentally handicapped guy.
Oh, Tommy.
Yeah.
Which Tommy, they don't specifically say he's mentally handicapped, but it's extremely obvious.
There was a real of mice and men feel going on at the beginning of this, and
then towards the end, something happens and things may change a lot.
Yeah, and it's another thing we don't really want to spoil. But suffice to say, some really fun stuff happens. Some great ideas are fleshed out. Some horrible racist stereotypes of Asian people occur.
Yes. Sarah Jane Smith is there.
Native Americans and Asians get horribly insulted in every possible way.
Yes, because apparently the Native Americans are on Metabulus 3. And they live in like Utah. In the Utah desert.
I know. They're white humans that look or that dress like Native Americans, live in Pueblo houses in like Utah.
Yes.
But it's Metabulus 3.
With spiders.
With spiders. Where they're being like subjugated by spiders after their spaceship crashed in the future.
Which honestly, they're spiders. Couldn't you just get like a rock and smash them?
Yeah, that's what we were saying. They're like, we can't rebel. We're not strong enough. Like,
they're spiders.
I could step on one of those for you guys. Come on.
It's a spider, people.
We outnumber the spiders. Step on them. The worst thing that happens is all their little babies go scattering off their butts. I mean,
ew.
I know it happens.
I know. That's when you just burn the place down.
Yeah. Well, there's another thing. Fire kills everything that kills people. Kills spiders. You have many options. And probably fire's even better because they spin webs.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of webs, I love the patterning on the floors, the web patterning in purples on the light blue. That was cool. That was the set design in this period is really good. Like you could tell that they put some money into their sets, even though it's kind of dated.
But not the green screen.
No, not the well.
You could tell.
I think they're doing their best
for the time. Yes.
Yeah, but you could tell that there was some love put into these sets and these designs, especially the chase sequence, which was one of the coolest. Like we watched this together, and I swear we were both at the end where we were like, "Can we watch that again? That was so fun."
And it was. It started off with someone stealing Bessie, his car.
His yellow car.
Yellow car.
It's a very old-fashioned, I don't remember what model car it is.
Apparently he has the Doctor-mobile.
The Who-mobile.
The Who-mobile.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm pretty sure that's not street legal anymore.
Actually, it was made street legal. This is a true story. It was made street legal by classifying it as an invalid carriage.
Yes.
So that he could drive it on streets for filming.
And then they had...
What a horrible thing.
Didn't they have like a Jeep with the soldiers or something in it?
Yeah, the soldiers hopped in a Jeep at one point, but they didn't stay in it for very long. They hopped into Bessie pretty early on. There was a cop car, like a 1970s cop car, like the fat cop eating his donuts, and he sees the chase. He's like, there's a UFO chasing Model T. I'm off to chase him down, and off he goes.
And then they get to like an airstrip in the middle of nowhere.
And the doctor hops into this gyrocopter.
He has a gyrocopter.
Which is the silly, like, very 1970s, very James Bond 70s, too.
It's just like, why does he have these things?
I like to think, as I said before the show, I like to think that he doesn't have the helicopter. He just stole somebody's.
Probably. But they go through the chase, and they somehow wind up like next to the sea or the ocean or whatever.
I think it's actually the Thames.
Okay, the Thames River. The evil guy steals a boat, so the doctor somehow gets like a hoverboat.
Oh, they do set this up because right before the chase sequence gets there, there's like this calm scene of a sailor hauling his motorboat up onto shore, and one of those hovercraft comes rolling up, runs off the water up onto the beach, and the guy hops out and he's like, "Hey, this is a cool ride in my hovercraft." And the guy's like, "Man, if I could afford it, I'd have 10 of your hovercraft." You know, the boater. And that's when the chase scene arrives, and the villain steals the motorboat, and the doctor, of course, hops in the hovercraft. Steals
the hoverboat, and he apparently can drive over land.
Well, yeah, hoverboats can go over land. That's what makes them so cool.
Oh, I didn't think they could make that much distance on land.
Yeah, they're not. Well, I don't know about that model. Some of them are pretty slow, but I've seen the military ones get a pretty good turn of speed on.
Apparently it was a military one then.
Yeah, but it was so funny. It really was just, like, you needed Benny Hill the whole way.
Yes.
You know,
it was great.
It was awesome. And that's, again, why we say he is
Double-oh-pertwee.
Yeah, Double-oh-pertwee.
And then the dude just disappears because the spider's like, concentrate, and he can do anything if he just concentrates.
Yeah, I know. And then let's go ahead and skip to the end.
So it's like, okay, real quick, like, meanwhile, Sarah Jane's on Metabelus 3.
Yeah.
And she's trying to help the people, and the doctor gets there, and the queen actually attaches herself to Sarah Jane.
Again, getting creepy. All the spiders are just, they're feeling up people's backs like crazy.
Mm-hmm. So they come back, and that's when they realize, they meet there's an old man in a random room, and the dude's like, I was your mentor, and the creepy stereotype Asian guy is a projection of the old guy, and it turns out he's a Time Lord, and that's how the regeneration thing is discussed.
Yeah, and by the way, Yellowface is bad.
It's pretty offensive.
Yeah, come on, guys, it's as bad as Blackface, but for some reason, people were willing to do that, and the Tom Baker's era is not shy about it either.
In the 70s, exploitation films were a little more acceptable than they are today.
Yeah. But yeah.
So, you know, the doctor helps Sarah Jane beat the queen, and then he's like, the only way to do it is to go back, and he goes back, and he gives her the blue crystal, and then we go on to 3 weeks later.
Yeah. Yeah, because she flees, and she's like, the doctor stayed behind, but he won't die, he'll be back, and then he doesn't come back for like 3 weeks, and when he does show up...
And then she's like, she's dead, he's dead.
Yeah, he hops up, and he's like, don't worry, Sarah Jane, as long as I'm alive, there's hope. And he's dead.
And she's freaking out, she's just sobbing, he's dead.
And the brigadier's in the back like, give it 5 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly. The brigadier's like looking at his watch like 5, 4, 3, 2 seconds early.
And that's when the other Time Lord shows up, hovering in the air for reasons I cannot comprehend.
No, he wasn't hovering, he was laying on the ground.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
because he fell and they turned him over, and I think she put her jacket underneath him.
No, the other Time Lord, he
was sitting on the desk before he got up.
Oh, he was on I thought he was hovering in front of it. Okay, he's sitting on.
No, he just appeared on the desk, and then he got up and he started talking to them.
Like, sup? Hope I'm not farting on anything important.
His name was like Choji or something.
Choji, yeah.
But his Time Lord self was Kan Po.
Which is apparently Gallifrey has in Asia. Because, yeah.
I don't know.
I like
This
to think that
seriously,
he had another Time Lord name. Although it could be. I mean, Roman is a Time Lord name, and this isn't. I mean, you don't
Roman is the
know.
shortened version.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
Gampo could
pronounce
be
the
a
full.
shortened version.
Yeah.
So, basically that's when the transformation happens and fade to black. He's basically, the guy's like, I'm going to make this transformation happen faster because your crying is annoying me. And so he speeds
And
up
then
the transformation to Tom Baker.
all you see Tom Baker's face, and it goes to the credits.
And then it goes to credits. And we will be picking up on that with Robots or Robot of Death or something like that. I think it's just Robot is the name of the next episode. And we'll pick up that for next week. But for now, let's talk a little bit about Double-oh-pertwee.
He's pretty awesome.
He is. You could tell that he's a younger actor. You know, there's a lot more action. Like you said, he's got his ninja moves on.
He does. I want to say that was probably a stunt double when they weren't doing a close up, but even then,
It might have been. I don't think I've actually heard that it was a stunt double. I think it's just like people.
like I said, I can't tell.
Stunts around his body.
But he's younger. He starts the whole basically run thing.
Yeah. There are some callbacks to previous Doctors, like he does occasionally say, "When I say run, run."
Yes.
That was a Troughton.
Mm-hmm.
We got to hear Troughton say, "Oh my giddy aunt" one last time. That was awesome.
Yes.
Oh,
And him
giddy
obsessing over his recorder.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you seen my recorder? It's about this long.
Yeah.
Like the whole time. At least like twice an episode, he's like, "Have you seen my recorder?"
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love the Doctors. I love the way they play off each other. I appreciate that they have to keep cross Doctor stories to a minimum,
Yeah.
but it's really great when you see them.
Which we'll see him again because the Five Doctors is coming up.
We will. And then we'll see Troughton again for the Two Doctors when we get to Colin Baker. But
And to my knowledge, there's only two more times when times cross. One being the time crash with 5 and 10,
mhm.
and then the upcoming 50th anniversary with 10 and 11.
There's
Like I said, to my knowledge.
There's also an episode with Rose where the Doctor sees himself. I don't think they directly interact, but remember that episode Father's Day.
Oh, Father's Day. I actually have not seen Father's Day.
The Doctor and Rose go, and they're like looking around a corner and staring at the Doctor and Rose.
Oh, that's the one where she goes back in time to like save her dad?
Yeah, that's the one.
I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
It's okay. The payoff for that one's several episodes later. The payoff for that one is with Jackie later on.
Yeah, doesn't Jackie have a kid?
Well, yeah, Rose.
No, I mean, when they're trapped in, the alternate universe.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's saying goodbye to Rose, and she's like, "There's gonna be a new one," and the Doctor's like, "It's not you," which, again, that kind of implies that the Doctor and Rose had a physical relationship.
Yeah, we're not going to touch on
We're not
that.
going into that, I'm just saying.
No, that's actually, it's actually before that. When Jackie's saying, she and Rose are arguing about something at the end of one of the seasons. I think it's actually Rose's departure season. And Rose says, "Remember when Dad died? There was a blonde girl there that was by his side and comforted him to the end. I was that girl," and that's a great payoff. That was an amazing payoff to that episode, but it does take a while. Like, you have to wait a little while before you get that awesome payoff.
Well, that's
really
actually
emotional.
quite common in, I think, the modern Who.
Yeah.
Is something will happen in this episode, and then several episodes later, you'll see something come of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you'll see that in Classic Who too, but more as we get into Tom Baker. With Pertwee and the people before him, it was more. I guess with Pertwee, there was the Three Doctors reward. Remember at the end of that one,
He got his.
They give him back some piece of his TARDIS.
Yeah.
The time circuit.
And he gets the time circuit. He gets the time secrets of time back, and how to time travel. So it all comes back to him. He can travel.
And off to Metapolis 3!
And your doom.
It's cool. And he's one of my favorite Doctors. I guess a lot of them are.
You can't really pick a favorite. I mean, he's the same man. Always.
Yeah, well, favorite actors to play the Doctor, I guess.
Yeah.
And the favorite eras, a lot of people don't like the Pertwee era because it's mostly set all in one time period. Because he can't travel.
He was, which I understand completely.
But I kind of like the Doctor's moment of going, oh shit, I actually have to work.
Yes.
I thought that was...
And he makes this list of demands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and
he steals a car.
He's got his car.
Although, I have to admit, seeing the Doctor in the shower was not something I ever want to see again.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
And that's when he becomes the magician. Doctoro.
Yeah, the Magnificent. Yeah, he has a lot of outfits and a lot of crushed velvet in this.
Yes, and ruffles.
And ruffles.
And ruffles.
Capes, ruffles. This is one styling Doctor.
Yes.
He's really cool with that, but what I really like is the gadgets.
There's so much fun.
He's got the cars. He's got the Whomobile, which is like this flying car.
Apparently.
He's got Bessie, which he's souped up to move super fast and has some built-in gadgetry.
The Whocopter.
The Whocopter. I don't know if that's actually his, but yeah.
We'll pretend.
He's got some gizmos and gadgets that he uses around the lab, like he sets up mind-reading machines and stuff. He's got all of the resources of UNIT, and then this is also the serials where these are also the serials where the sonic screwdriver really comes into its own.
Basically, almost becomes a staple of the show.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm proud to say I have the 4th Doctor sonic screwdriver. I'm trying to collect all of them.
I love those sonic screwdrivers. They're pretty cool. And I think that about covers it for Pertwee because we're running out of time.
Yep, but he's definitely worth checking out. If you're new to Who or you're an old fan, watch it for the first time or rewatch it.
3 Doctors. Spearhead from Space isn't the best, but the Planet of Spiders. We didn't even get a chance to meet the best Master. Unfortunately,
we did not get to see the Master.
And this was the introduction of the Master. This was the introduction of the Sontarans. This was the introduction of so many awesome villains. Gotta be seen. We will probably revisit it just to meet the Sontarans or the Master at some point. We'll be meeting the Master and Sontarans coming up. Just generally a really good start with. You could tell though at the beginning they love their Technicolor. Yeah,
the intro was. I liked it better than the ones we've seen previously.
As it gets further on,
they get better.
Yeah, the starting one, like the Spearhead from Space era intro, was like, look, colors. We've got colors now in color. But it is worth checking out. Thanks everyone for attending. Thank you everyone
for listening.
Thank you everyone for listening.
We'll be back next week with Cinna Baker. Oh my gosh, that's even worse. Cinna Baker.
No, we're finding something else for that.
Yeah, we're not calling it
Tom's O'Plenty or something. I don't know.
That's even worse.
It sounds like a porno.
We're getting this out.
No, I'm not.
Cinna Baker in space. Oh my god.
With Tom's O'Plenty.
Anyway.
And Pertwee as
the magician.
Alright, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Doctor.
That's an alien world out there, Joe. Think of it.
I don't want to think of it. I want to go back to Earth.
But do you realize how long I've been confined to one planet?
All that talk of yours about traveling in time and space, it was true.
Well, of course it was true. Before I was stranded on Earth, I spent all my time exploring new worlds and seeking the wonders of the universe.
But you don't know what's out there.
Then let's find out.